All right.
Hey, and we're live. Nice.
Oh,
cool. Thanks, Wojtek. Fellow Jitser, who are you? Are you Patty?
Oh, we're gonna see.
Let's just
Hello.
maybe that'll get them going. Let's see, yeah, but we're just waiting for Patty.
Sure.
All right, you can say Lorelei that she's whitelisted.
Yeah, nice.
Hey, Marco. Sorry, I didn't say hi yet.
Hi. So where are you guys now? Griff, you're in Barcelona, right?
Yeah.
All right.
He saw the reflection of the flag in the in the door behind you.
You, Michael, as well? Barcelona?
No, I'm actually in Montreal, Canada right now.
Oh, nice. And Wojtek?
And I'm in Czech Republic.
Oh, cool. So that's near Croatia. Okay.
Yeah, and you're from Croatia?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Which place? That's our colony every summer.
Oh, really?
Into Czech colony.
Yeah.
Croatia,
I know. I know the stories. So, where do you go over the summer?
We usually go to nearby Pula.
Pula, Istria. Yeah. Okay, I know.
Yeah, Istria.
I'm from Split originally, and currently I'm in Zagreb, living here, working here. But I'm not sure if you've been to Split already.
Oh yeah, beautiful place.
Yeah, of course, the most beautiful place on the planet, right? Sorry, I had to say that.
I'm not saying no. Do you hear me saying no?
No.
I'm not.
Oh, there's Patty on Telegram.
Yeah, it seems like he can't hear us.
Oh yeah.
Nor he can speak.
I had to pause syncing my Dropbox to have better connection. So maybe she's got a good one. Yep.
We can also try something else. I don't have Zoom, but we can try and do Hangouts. But then we can't stream, right? Easily.
Yeah, if she does Chrome, I bet it'll work. It's Firefox nightly. I mean,
yeah.
Clearly, someone used to work for Mozilla.
Yeah, I don't understand why, why people even use anything else. It seems like the web isn't optimized for anything else, sadly now.
Cool. Hello.
Yeah. Hi, Patty.
Hey.
Sorry, I could see you all, but like couldn't hear anybody. So now I'm in the
Cool.
Okay.
Perfect.
Just before we begin, one thing at 6:45, I'm gonna have to do a hard stop if this get extended. Okay, so I gotta take my kid to training. So just so you know, is that okay?
All right, let's do it quickly then.
Cool.
Cool. So, guys, maybe short intro. So right now I'm someone who's maintaining, let's say, the development of the application that you're about to see. I'm going to share both my screen, but also share a link with you to a release environment where you can try and play yourself however much you please. You can also break it or try and break it. It's not going to be broken. I'm certain of that. But there's some clear UX issues that I'll gladly talk you through, but many of that will change soon. So maybe before we start, can you just quickly tell me what you guys are doing and how you think you can help us?
Sure. Patty, you want to go first?
Sure. So my name is Patty. I don't know if Grieve has told you about me, but basically I was interviewing for the UX role at Aragon DApp. I'm finally going to collaborate with Aragon One, but in any case, I would like to still give my help or support, give it whenever I can. So basically, what we discussed is that I could help out with doing a UX audit, or just discussing with you what you think, guys, are the main issues, and then we could review main journeys and give some high-level recommendations. That was for me the purpose of this meeting. I guess I did not introduce myself. So basically, I'm a UX designer. I was based in London till recently, and I don't know. I've worked for Canonical, the company that developed Ubuntu, and most recently for an e-commerce platform. So that's kind of a little bit of my background, and just happy to help. I kind of I wanted to do sort of an independent audit to start with, and I went and did that because I think you guys know the product inside out, and I think it's very good for me with fresh eyes to look at everything from the point of view of a completely new user who doesn't really know or understand much of the jargon or what the main journeys are. So I already have a list of things that I could forward you, to, or probably some of them, most of them will come up in this discussion. But in any case, I think it's good that we start as well, instead of jumping through reviewing exactly all the usability problems that you have. I think it's important and interesting that we understand a bit better what's the main goal for people arriving to the app, the vision, and what's supposed to be the main user journeys that you envision for the app. And I stopped because it was a fun intro. I talk too much.
Thank you. No, that's fine. Just one question. Do you have some experience with crypto already, or is this your first crypto job, the Aragon One?
In terms of working, it would be the first crypto project that I worked for. In terms of experience with crypto, I have experience with crypto as a user.
Okay.
Kind of design is design, right? I've been doing platform for many years now.
Sure.
Apps design. So I don't a lot of people. I think I found in this space are kind of differentiating what is designing for crypto from designing for any other service or digital product. I still don't see that difference so far. Maybe it's because I'm new. I'm still getting used to the challenge. I don't think. Well, anyway.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks. Okay. Marco, just you.
Yeah, I think Patty pretty much summed up everything, so I won't repeat myself as well. From the UX standpoint, my background is in UX design. I've worked as a freelancer. I run my own agency, worked on many different projects across many different sectors. I still, I call it now a traditional kind of thing, design and everything else, because now we're talking about the crypto. And Patty, there is a difference. There is a difference, specifically because we're dealing with a new technology here, so we need to take into account, all the kind of things that developers are doing, and our constraints and limitations around that. So I really want to help with whatever I can from the quote traditional field experience I got so far, and learn along the way, and possibly educate some of you guys, developers, or share what I know about user experience, so you can start building better contracts, better technical solutions, and so on and so forth. Right? From this call, I really want to deep dive into your current problems and issues, and see how we can tackle them and come to some sort of better solution. So,
all right, thank you very much.
Sure.
Cool. So basically, what we're building, I guess you already know that, but it's like a fundraising platform, more like a marketplace for projects. You could see it's being similar to, let's say, Kickstarter or GoFundMe.
Mm-hmm.
However, there are some clear distinctions, like it actually runs on cryptocurrency. There's no fees other than the transactions fees for Ethereum, and we're trying to add accountability as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you guys read the product definition, but there are some explanations of what are actually the entities that are there, and that we have DAs, paints, and milestones.
Yeah.
So I'm not really going to go in like a depth with that. Basically, our current state is that we finally created something that we're confident to show to the world, at least to a limited world. We're starting to, we hired Danny, who's adding slowly new projects.
Mm-hmm.
Until this point, the only real user of the DApp was ourselves and the GiveUp community.
Mm-hmm.
And it was starting to being a little bit skewed to that use case, where we were starting to really discuss having like a specific templates that we wanted to really use, and we were trying to like justify to adding them, that the other projects will also use them, which may or may not be true, but basically until this point, no one else than us really saw it, and now is the time when we're showing it to the world. So the plan was to show that over the course of the next 2-3 months, and then after like a new year, have a review with the projects as being the first users.
Mm-hmm.
So the two biggest problems that I have currently with the application is that people don't really, they land on this page, and it's much better now, right? So now you see that there are some campaigns, and there's like, let's say 17 of them. And then there are some DACs, which is 9 of them. Nobody really knows what those are, but okay, it looks like those are something you can click on and then read what these things do, right? So those are fundraising campaigns. And basically we want to make the general public just aware of that and being able to donate. Yeah, and here you can see already one of the problems with crypto, where you need to have a MetaMask installed, you need to be on the correct network, which in this case is Robston.
Mm-hmm.
You already need to be like logged in and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you have any questions, please interrupt me, just FYI.
Okay.
So this is like the #1 thing that we want, right? We want to present to potential donors that are interested in looking what we have on this marketplace, to be able to very easily donate without any obstacle. or with as little obstacles as possible.
Okay. Okay. You know, what's the value proposition against like a traditional services that you mentioned, current like Kickstarter or GoFundMe or whatever? So I, as a giver, come to this website. Why should I donate to this community instead of going to GoFundMe or whatever, you know, wherever?
Right. So one of them is that you likely already have some crypto and you don't want to transform it to like fiat money and then go to these channels. That's one thing. But the more important to me is that you maintain a control over your donation. If you give it to a DAC, you actually still have a say of where your donation will be used. If you give it to a campaign or a milestone, you at least see how exactly your money has been used. And that's another big issue that we have right now, because we do have donations here and someone donated here. Yeah. So this is one of the campaigns, right? There's just some description, nothing really interesting, a milestone. And you can see that someone donated, but that's basically it. It just lists the donations here. And you don't know if it has already been paid out through some milestone or what really happened to it.
Okay, so we don't have milestones listed here for this campaign. We don't see anything, right?
There is one milestone here.
There is one. There is one.
Yeah. And you know, like basically we're aware that this is bad. We're aware that this is not the best thing, but so far the focus was just to bring a usability because we needed to use the platform ourselves. So the focus wasn't really the UX yet, and it wasn't really showing, you know, these donations. That's a visual thing, and it's not of a priority when you don't support tokens, right? You first want to do the tokens and then maybe. But at the same time, I have already tasked a friend of mine who's no longer really available to help us build like a prototype of how this should work, because I envisage that once we have this review in January, we can just throw the whole UI away and build a new UI based on the prototype that is actually walked through and actively improved by the people we work with, by real projects that are actually using the platform.
All right. So
because
so you mentioned you want to go, you want to make general public aware of the you want to start and launch this to a closed circle of people. So who's so we're not talking about mass adoption right here. We're not talking about like going global right away, or
exactly. That's what already is happening, and we're adding about, I would say, 6 projects a month, and all of them are whitelisted. There is no way we can just allow anyone to create anything yet.
All right.
And most of these projects are from space or actually know something about cryptocurrency. So we're also not talking about complete newbie users, even though that's what I would really love to do.
Yeah, but you know, I was reading through the product documentation on your wiki, and there are several, you know, type of users. The giver, the campaign owner, the milestone, the reviewer, and so on and so forth. So the whole ecosystem is actually, you know, assembled from trusted people, right? Who control everything, and everything is like trusted and controlled, and you know where your money is going, and that the receiver will receive it, and then the milestone will be achieved or not. I also read something about the time that actually plays some role in canceling, releasing the funds, and so on and so forth. So the whole thing should be somehow communicated on this new website, right?
Yeah.
Right. So that's like that should be like in the value proposition itself, and then that should make me want to actually explore the communities and, you know, donate to, you know, become a giver, right?
Yeah.
Or even start my own community, right? So we have like you know, different target audiences here to communicate this. Besides the UX issues that you mentioned right now with the MetaMask and the mainnet or whatever else there is, but these are like more technical issues that need to get sorted out. So there's a lot of work to do.
Exactly. I know.
Yeah. So you know, this should be like you know, properly planned and aligned with your strategy, with your roadmap and goals, and then, you know, one step at a time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So I would very much like to focus on the donors part.
Mm-hmm.
So because I can imagine that the recipients and that, you know, creators of the campaigns, creators of the DAC, all of those people have some motivation to actually use the application, because in the end, they're going to be paid one way or the other. However, for donors, we need to make this active as possible, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's something that we need to focus on the most.
Would you consider that creating a campaign and creating a milestone and managing that is one of the main tasks of a donor? What would you envision? You said, okay, like for me, it's clear that like the homepage and like some of the actions that a user can take are focused on like the donor journey, because like for instance, when I arrive, one of the first things, well, I actually look at the beta app. So in the beta version, I don't have the buttons of create a community or start a campaign, but like I can join GiveUp or I can donate or delegate. So what would you say like is are the main actions that a donor could take once it arrives to GiveUp?
Right. So for me, the main action is exploring, which should probably happen through through some search or through some filtering, or
right. So exploring existing campaigns.
Exploring the content, yes,
okay,
of the platform.
I agree.
And I would prefer if that would be actually exploring the second part, which is the DACs, right? Because these are much more, or should be in theory, much less specific, and should be more like education or open source software, or, you know, really a causes.
Okay. So that's interesting that you make that differentiation between campaigns and DACs, because the first time I arrive, as a first-time user, you really have no clue what's the difference between the two groups. Like,
yeah,
they look pretty much the same. They both use components. There's not really any sort of like visual cue or information to differentiate those. So it is interesting that you said like actually the donor should arrive and start looking at DApps. So why is that? Like that is something that we need to definitely surface first of all. That's the main thing that we want people to do when they arrive.
Right.
Besides that, exploring content. Okay, let's say I explore the DAX and I'm interested on the Sherpa project. Like, what is the next action that I'm supposed to do? That you guys want me to do when I arrive?
Right. Basically, have a look at the project, right? See if this is something that interests you, and if you can help anyhow. And the only way you can really do that in the DApp itself is financially, but you know, there's also the join our community button. So what we're trying to do is build communities around causes, but that's a little bit long stretch for for such tools, such application, and
Right.
in future that could be complemented with some chat inside of the app, and it's more like a social network.
Yeah.
Right. But we need to start somewhere.
To Riot or to wherever the community is, right? But like
exactly
outside the app, yeah. And then one question, like, can I donate without being signed up?
Yes, you can. You can. All you need is the MetaMask account.
Okay.
It just says here that you will not be able to maintain the, control over your donation. So if you give it to this community and the community delegates it somewhere, you will not be able to say, I disagree with this delegation, but you can support it.
Okay. So see, that's for me. So I have like a list of like little things. Okay. But those are little things that can be fixed really, really, really easily. I mean, it's like, okay, so padding between this button or differentiating which one is a call to action, or explaining like what delegate means for versus donate versus delegate, right? If they are both at the same level, hierarchically the same, different colors, but it doesn't tell me much more. But in terms of like the process of donating, like when I first arrived, like I sign up, and I don't know if like I could add like an existing wallet account, or if I have to always create a new one. Like one is created for me, like that process of like donating, we have to consider like the variables. Like the variables could be, okay, a person can donate from an existing account, or do we always have from an account that is created?
I stop you right here, because we're actually going to remove, with the next update in like a month or two, we're going to remove the wallet that is directly in the application. And we're just going to use whatever you have, MetaMask or Status Wallet or whatever you open it with.
Okay, so you wouldn't create automatically one address for me, like I would just like add the one that I want to.
Exactly, you would just use that one.
Right.
And create a profile that is linked to that wallet.
Right. Okay, so I feel like after using it for a bit, like it felt like I disconnected the whole process of like, okay, I'm signing up, then I kind of like complete my account, but I'm not very clear who I am. Like, can I create campaigns? Can I not? Like, I couldn't find really a button to like start creating a campaign. Okay, let's say again that our main focus is for new users to arrive and donate. And therefore, like the process of donating, like the steps to actually donate some math. I think they should be a bit clearer, perhaps a little bit more spaced out, perhaps a little bit more guided. That's again like just an initial idea, but for me the main, like, I'm just talking about this because you kind of confirm it when you started talking about this, but like arriving to the app without not knowing anything that you guys might know are the main problems for me is like, I want to donate. The steps are not very clear. Also, one of the things that you mentioned is like, okay, what makes Giveth different? Or what makes Giveth different, right? Like you are giving us control over our donations. Like that quite doesn't come through. Like, how do I have control? Like at some point I read in one of those sort of like messages bubbles within the dialogue that I can pledge, and like whether I lock or unlock my money, then I can still get it back. But for example, I think that is such an important point, like bringing control into like how the money that I donate actually go to the campaign or to the milestone that I want it to, or whether if I change my mind. So I think that needs to be as well communicated way more upfront and more clear. Yeah, that's kind of like, because I think, I mean, there's some things that can be, as I said, very easily fixed. Like, for example, you have Giveth and you have Explore link, like, and both are like redirecting you to the homepage. Like, those two are a little bit useless. Like users are very accustomed, very familiar with clicking on the logo to get redirected to the homepage. Those are little things, like in terms of like usability things that can be fixed quickly. But in terms of like surfacing what is the main value proposition of the app, and like why a person would arrive here, what is the main benefit of me donating to a campaigning giver, I think that needs to be like kind of like pushed up front, clear from the beginning, and then guiding the steps that are required to actually like complete that donation action.
Yeah, I agree with Patty there as well. Yeah, Wada, go ahead. So
no, please, like.
No, I in terms of what I really want to go back to the bring over the message of give it. So that's the number one thing. I don't think we should be reinventing any wheel here. So we got like we should start from the messaging that we want to bring over. What is give it? Why? The value proposition, and then actually through some sort of exploration of the content, we can actually target any of our target audiences, be it a giver or a donator, someone who wants to create a community, someone who wants to be a giver, or whatever. We can do that through the exploration of the content on the site itself. So that can be easily done. I don't see any issues there. The most important thing is to actually put together a document where you actually communicate the value proposition of the platform, of your projects, the whys, and stuff like that, and then start from there. So the homepage will be like, bam, this is give it, and this is why you should start exploring or whatever, and then we can discuss and deep dive into the existing the user roles. Once I register, I can be a giver, I can create my community, I can be a campaign manager, I can be a milestone reviewer, I can be whatever. And how can I transition from one role to another, if that's possible at all, and so on and so forth. But in terms of pushing the platform out there, that going live whenever you decide to, even to a closed circle that you mentioned, these are the kind of first things that need to be taken care of. And there's no like reinventing the wheel there. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
of course,
I'd rather focus more on things like, how can we make it easier for people to, what if I don't have a MetaMask, or what if what are other options? What else did I read there? To somehow through that onboarding process of a user, whether I come as a giver or a campaign owner or whatever, how do we onboard them, and how do we communicate everything around the platform itself, how it works and stuff like that. So I think that's the more important question.
And here is where I would like to ask Griff what was kind of his idea for for the focus of let's say the UX review now.
Oh, I mean, they offered to do UX audits, so I don't even know what that means.
All right, cool.
Yeah. I will say that I don't really expect too many people to explore the site anytime too soon. I think the best use case of the site is like we auto-generate when you actually have a campaign. You have a website right there that's like a Kickstarter, GoFundMe that you can link and share and put on Twitter, and anyone can go click donate and then do it. But that most people that are exploring this site would be campaign managers or TAC that need to choose where to donate from. But for the most part, the donors would come because they saw a link on Twitter that sent them straight to the page that they want to donate to. That it will take a long time before we have such a mass appeal. Like Kickstarter, do you go on Kickstarter and you're like, oh, I wonder what things I can donate to? No, you usually see a link that sends you straight to one specific Kickstarter page.
Exactly, yeah.
There's very few super users that are like looking around for things to donate to.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I mean, my biggest problem right now with the platform and with the whole design is, and I think you read it in the product definition, it's just the sheer complexity, right? So you ask me what's the difference between campaigns and DACs, and I'm not sure I would even satisfactorily answer it here on the spot, let alone you just finding it out yourself just by reading anything here, right? And you also said that they look the same, and that's somewhat intentional because since it's hard to communicate the difference between those two, and they both kind of serve almost the same thing, then maybe the first time user doesn't actually need to find the difference between those two.
I disagree with that because you intentionally separate them into groups. So me as a first time user, I see, oh, there's two groups. Which one I should be more interested in? Like,
right.
Like that differentiation is not that important from like the product point of view, then that is something that needs a discussion.
Yeah.
Like the fact that we are differentiating it to begin with, and they are both two different groups in the homepage, but at the same time, they don't have anything else different but the title, makes me wonder, okay, so are there all campaigns, or are there different type of campaigns? Or also, like, that applies to the milestones. Like, I understand as well, like, the reusability of patterns, but like when you actually dive into one campaign, then you can see like all the car components used for Illustrator visualizing all the milestones. Like, I would question the use of the exactly same for doing that, because it gets a little bit confusing, because there's not any other element that differentiate that card. You see, all of them have a title, a description, then the amount donated, the balance, like how many givers. Like the information is nice. It's just like I am questioning. I'm not saying we should do this or you guys should do that. I'm just like voicing the questions that I had when I first arrived. That's all. I mean, if there's no important differentiation between the two, then maybe we can do that differentiation with something way more subtle, like a color cue or a tag. But if we actually divide them between these two groups, it makes me feel like there's a bigger differentiation that I'm missing out on.
So the two main.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Griff. Sorry.
DACs do not have milestones, although technically it's possible that they could have milestones. And money donated to DACs can be vetoed where the DAC sends it. So the idea is that there's more likely to be a governance mechanism of some sort, like a DAO of a DAC, that people can donate to, but they can still, like, DAOs are experimental, so they can veto the decision of that governance mechanism. Whereas campaigns are more focused, and they can have milestones, and they can also have control of their funds. So you could imagine a DAC would be a community focused on ending child homelessness, right? And a campaign would be build an orphanage here in town. And the orphanage needs to know that they have control of these funds, whereas the community, well, not so much. Like, it's a community, and the people who are part of that community, and they can veto. So that's the two difference. But I think they could be combined, and these could be features.
Actually,
or
for
not.
discrimination, I think perhaps they are they are even more different than what I initially thought. That's the thing. Like, from the description that you made right now, like, I wonder if they are completely different levels in hierarchy, right? Like like a community itself could create then a campaign, could not?
Yeah, basically right now when a community donates to a campaign, then that campaign is visualized as part of that community.
So they're loosely linked, right? So basically a community is like a fund that is generic. So that would be, I don't know, education, school, children. And then the campaigns would be a specific school somewhere in Africa. And the community just, you know, the education community supports this school. So it sends money and hence the link is created.
Right. Okay. So then, like, my advice would be to then make that difference even bigger, because they are completely different things. They will behave in different ways. You would expect different things once you dive into one of those cards. You see where I mean? Like, I'm not saying a specific solution right now. I'm just saying that the initial differentiation made me wonder why is this card different from this other card? Now I understand you cannot do the same thing. They are different. They are different things. One is a community, another one is a campaign, and they can be linked or they can be somehow connected. So perhaps those differences should be made more obvious.
Right. Yeah.
More if what you said is true, if what we want is people to arrive and actually explore decentralized altruistic communities, so they can choose like a community that they relate to, that they want to collaborate, participate with, and then create a campaign, collaborate into a milestone, etc., etc., etc. It's kind of like different level of hierarchies for me. Like as an initial.
I always saw it almost as like a tree, right? So you can like explore the tree, but it's also hard to convey a message. But yeah, so our current struggle is that the whole team is really focused on building it, right? So UX was always a little bit of an afterthought, and we basically came to an idea that maybe we just throw this whole thing away, and then once we get users and we get some feedback, we start again. So I would like to just be honest with you, saying that I'm not sure how much, you know, it can change right now, and I very much value your feedback, and it would be really great to work, but we basically don't have right now a designer that is, unless you are willing to help us be the person who's really driving it from the design perspective, and you know, helps us to say, okay, this should actually look like that, then we can just implement that, right? But right now we don't have a person who would be the one who will take the feedback of you doing an UX audit, and who would actually integrate that feedback.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm showing here, and I'll share it in the chat.
Yeah, just interrupt because I'm 1 minute over.
Sure.
Sorry. You know, regarding the designer and some help around that. You know, as long as we don't have some deadlines and strict deadlines, I'm able to help you guys in my free time. So you know, share me whatever you can, and I'll get back to you with my feedback. I can even, you know, draw something out. I can even, you know, sketch wireframe or whatever, you know, for my free time. Yeah. So this is like, you know, helping out you guys. So you know, that's my offer to you. For that, and right now I really gotta go. My kid is waiting. It's been a great call, and I do have a lot of questions more, but obviously I'm gonna just, you know, come back later, or Telegram or Riot or whatever. All right.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Marco.
Okay. Stay in touch. Cheers, Griff. Michael.
Cheers.
Bye. Patty. Bye. Cheers.
Meeting you. Bye.
Yeah. So maybe, yeah, I just wanted to like align where we stand right now, right?
I totally get it, and again, like I'm happy to help out as well whenever I can. As I said, like I'll be collaborating with our own one, but in any case, I'll be completely like communicating with you know, Aragon DApp and therefore Giveth, and as well, like I'm really keen on what you guys are doing. Like I just want to be very honest. Like I think the app is not bad at all. Like honestly, for not having any design guidance or like a structure thought before starting, like you guys have something very solid. The things that I see are like two things. Like one is so the list of like very little things that they can be super fixed with the mock-up that you were showing now in the Envision prototype. It looks so sleek. I'm sure there's a lot of improvement already compared to the beta app. So I'm sure like many of the things that I'm going to share with you are already fixed. Like things like, you know, what is the main call to action button, and therefore that should be the one that is colored with the brand color and not the other button. So like when the user arrives, know exactly which button needs to click on. Those are very little things that can be changed really quickly. The other thing, which is more like from the structural point of view, from the experience, like that requires a bit more work. And that is true that you guys will have things much more clear once you start testing it and receiving feedback. But I'm happy as well to like set up a session with you and, you know, like go through what I think the sort of activities that if I was like collaborating full time with you, that I would do. Like, first of all, you need to define, what is the main user, what's the secondary user, what is the journey, what does the journey looks like for the main user. So arriving to the website, clicking on starting a campaign or clicking on donate, like those things need to be kind of like defined. And once those things are defined, then like checking if actually like what you build, a person that arrives completely new to the website does go through those the steps and understand as well the differences and the nuances of the app. Because as I said, like there's certain things that I found that Giveth, it is actually very different from any other you know, similar app or similar organization, but like that doesn't come through, and it should come through. How? I don't know. That is like iteration, you know, that requires more than a code. That needs to be like discuss, change, whatever. But like a few important things that come through is, how do I control my donations? That is very important. Like I want to know that sort of upfront. And I'm not saying like providing a block of text just telling me you have control over your donations. You know, you have to be like more subtle along the way. Yeah. But that needs to be worked out as the foundation, let's say. Because in other ways, in terms of usability, like it's not bad at all. You guys provide feedback. Like every time I perform an action, I got feedback on my actions. That is so important. Not many dApps have that, and that is like a fundamental pillar on UX experience. Like every time I created an account, I've been notified. I know like my profile, like actually the sign-in process is not bad at all. Of course, like I would say, I do not, this is something that I just want to clarify. Having like a user to have MetaMask installed, that's not a Giveth problem. That's an ecosystem technology in the beginning problem. And that is not something that you need to address on your app. Like, let's be completely honest, like these initial dApps won't be used by people that know nothing about crypto. They would be people that know a bit, have played a bit, at least understand what like the main concepts, although like still is not very easy to use. But that's what I was saying, that I won't go into how designing for crypto is different in this case, because I'm assuming your first-time users, even they're not super techie ones, will have MetaMask or will have a basic understanding of what gas is. That doesn't mean that we cannot give them certain cues to help the experience to feel that they are more confident on what they are doing. For example, one of the things, like when I was checking, like again, as I said, I create an account, I create a new wallet, and I was thinking, can I add an existing one, because I don't have any money in that block. So then I have to delegate, or I don't know what was the toggle. The toggle was saying sort of like use another account to actually donate.
Yeah, something like that.
That process could be much more like stepped and clearer, for example. But in terms of the general usability of the app, I don't think it's bad at all. Again, like I think with a few tweaks here and there, you can make it much more responsible and usable. Now, the things in terms of like the foundation, that is stuff that takes more than just a UX audit. You know?
Right, sure. So what would you recommend to be a next step? Should we try and come up with like the main storyline, let's say, for the main actor that we want to really?
Yeah, so the first, I'm going to share like a doc or a note with the usability things that I noted. So on that, you know, as I said before, you tell me like this thing is solved, or this thing actually we are going to remove it from the next release, or whatever, or actually we don't think this is relevant, or whatever. So those are like the little things. In terms of the next steps to actually kind of like redesign the experience, I would define what is the main user, and then what is the secondary user. Like we were talking about a lot of different actors, right? So there's the donor, there's the campaign owner, there's the reviewer, and also like I actually jumped into like some of the profiles by mistake, just by clicking on the link, and I realized, okay, so that like I actually could see some names with their activity, their email address, their LinkedIn profile. And I was wondering, like, is this intentional? Like, I wonder, like, if I'm logged in and I gave my data, like, why is that data shown as well to everybody that is just logging in? So that is like the consideration that you need to have as well. Like, so what are the different type of call them users, personas? I don't care how you call them. Like the donor persona, the campaign reviewer. I really don't know what role the campaign reviewer plays, for example. That should be something that perhaps is not a user that you are focusing right now, because it's not the most important one, but like at least to kind of like separate them and say, what are the main goals of each of those personas? So the donor, of course, like as you said, explore, find a DApp or a campaign that I'm interested in, and then donate. So once you have those main sort of actions, then you start to be a little bit more granular. So what does it mean exploring? Exploring means filtering. Exploring means understanding the difference between campaigns and DAX and other things. What does exploring mean? Then what does it mean donating? Like, what are the more granular steps that I need to make in order to actually donate? Is enough that it's in a dialogue, or should it be more guided? I don't know. Like, those are questions that, again, like this takes more time than just a conversation. And as I said, we can schedule some time. We can put an hour and we can say, okay, you and I, we're ready to work on the donor, right? So what the donor does, what type of person does the donor we think it is? What sort of content will the donor want to see when it arrives? Like, for example, Griff was mentioning another use case that is very interesting is like me sharing a link to a specific campaign through Twitter, wherever, or any other social media, whatever, for you to actually donate to this given campaign. So what does it look like? Like that person would not land on the same page as a first-time user.
Yeah.
So that's where it starts to become more complex, and that's where it's needed to have like some sort of like, I'm not even talking about wireframes or anything, but just basic flow. Like the same way you guys, like you devs, create diagrams for your code in design we do the same, but the difference is we don't do it from the system perspective, we do it from the user perspective.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what I would do as next steps. Then, as you mentioned, if you're talking to people that is actually using the app, my advice would be don't take everything literal, because that's a common mistake. Please do not, like, because one user said they would like to see this, it doesn't mean that, you know, that's
exactly.
like,
yeah.
Like if you're doing some research or some usability testing with users, my advice on that would be, okay, so once you have up to 5 sort of sessions, you start looking at the notes that you have, and you start looking at patterns, things that repeat. Okay, okay. So for example, 3 of the 5 people said that they couldn't find a button to create a campaign, if that's one of the tasks. So okay, so then you have more clear than the button. Maybe it's the color, maybe it's the position, maybe it's there's no button. You know, things like that.
Yep.
What else? Yeah, I mean, you guys, and then you have the Envision prototype. So what I would do is, if I were you and already have like an Envision walkthrough prototype, share it with as many people as possible. You know, don't make the session super lengthy, but just ask a few basic questions. Yeah. I wouldn't try to test too much at a time. For example, my approach here would be, working with you would be, okay, we are going to define the donor persona. We're going to define all the activities and the tasks that a donor needs to do in order to complete the donation. And then we're going to test that journey. Once you have that journey tested, then you iterate on that instead of like people to test the whole thing. Can be a little bit overwhelming. But yeah, that's kind of like what I would do next. And then again, like, I don't know, I'm not sure whether you guys are going to work with Marco, or like, I don't, because designers, I don't know Marco, we haven't worked together, I don't know what experience is, and I don't want to be contradicting anyone. So, you know, what I will do right now is to send you the list of things that I have. We can do it in Google Docs or somewhere where we can leave comments, and, you know, I can explain what I meant if you have any question or anything. And then, you know, I'm happy to schedule another session moving forward if you guys want. Yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you very much. Yeah, would you be interested in helping us maybe identify some of the like key questions for the first users that could help us answer the, you know?
Yeah. As I said, I'm happy to schedule another session, an hour, but like, okay, so this
guys, I'm sorry, I have to run right now. Thank you guys thank you so much, Patty, for coming in. I'll see you guys later. Bye, Michael. Bye, Blake.
Bye.
See you guys next time. We'll chat again soon.
Bye. Nice to meet you. So what I was going to say? Oh yeah, that are you there?
Because that seems like something that, you know, is 100% going to happen, because we are having users now. We are looking to listen to them, and it would be great if we would have someone who's experienced with getting feedback on let's say the UX and UI, and identifying which of the things are actually relevant and are of an issue.
Right. So
right, and I don't know how you do this, if you like do a survey and as maybe the first step, and then you talk to the people.
There's so many different ways of doing it, depending on what you want to get out of it. So that's the thing.
Right.
Let me just explain a little bit, because I don't want to commit to like anything specific or any date, because at the moment, it's, again, like, I'm going to start with Aragon 1, and it's going to be like a big challenge, and I'm going to be focusing as well on the vision and where the product is going, etc. So like I know like if these sorts of things, like these tasks, what I can do as well is like give you guidance, give you material. Like I don't know if you guys are going to help people from the community to help out, or at some given points, I'm happy to help out, but I just like cannot commit to do user testing sessions and analyzing stuff like right now because I don't know how my workload is going to be. But again, like so the thing is like I see there's so many things that you can fix, like very, very little things. So let's start by that. And then let's start thinking, okay, so if we currently have users and we can reach out to them, okay, let's get them to test a specific journey and let them get, let them give some feedback. Based on that, plus the expert review or UX review or UX audit, whatever you want to call it, and that you have enough information to actually assess that information and say, right, so most people say that, you know, this is confusing, or most people say that need more guidance on this, on that. But also, I don't know what, like how techy are your users? Because the thing that I've seen as well is like all the campaigns and the DApps, like, I mean, it's people from the crypto world. It's people that is quite techy and quite knowledgeable, right? So this is something that I was asking Griff as well when I met him in the Web Summit. So who do you want to reach out first? So
this is where we diverge a little bit with Griff, right? He wants to focus more on the space, on the Ethereum space. So really the users would be people that get grant from Aragon Nest for building a blockchain startup or whatever, right? Whereas on my end and part of the team, the interesting users are actually really the social impact groups that are already trying to do something and that are trying to get into a blockchain, but we're not able to do that, or they pay consultants to get reports that they can't really use in the end. So those are the interesting users for me, and that's how I would like to see it more, going more towards the mass adoption rather than building yet another tool that is internal, right? Because we already have a Gitcoin and many other bounty systems, so why just build another one?
Right. So that's completely right. Like reading through the content, because I read like 3 or 4 campaign subscriptions, and it felt like I was like in GitHub, like telling exactly what I'm going to do, how much I'm going to pay for, like in which time frame. So I get like my guess, and like I don't know, but I assume because there's people, like so many people in the world, that there's going to be like, you know, a diagram bend in the middle, like between people that actually are in the space and people that actually are social involved participants people. So I think the interesting stuff is reaching the middle of the diagram bend and reaching out to these people to actually test the app. Not getting, I mean, in some occasions, it's really good to just get out there and get anybody to test your app or your friends or your colleagues or wherever. But in this case, because it's so niche, like the people that you guys know are super savvy on crypto. Me, I've been involved in crypto for like 3-4 years, and I'm not that savvy. I'm still having problems, and I'm a tech savvy person. So that's the thing, that is the gap is so huge at the moment that you actually need to find feedback from people that are not like the builders, basically.
Right, and that's actually quite achievable. So we've been reached out by many organizations like UNESCO, for example, that do want to run a pilot with our system, right? So those are exactly the users. And next weekend I'm going to Berlin. You said you were in Berlin, right?
I was like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think you were there because Griff was telling me that.
No, I was not.
Yeah.
I decided to focus on building rather than talking. And basically there's a international civic society there, and they're organizing the workshop Blockchain for Good, where they are inviting the big charities and the blockchain projects, and together basically trying to work in a workshop on some of the problems. And when I attended it last time, there was a huge interest from the charity space, and they are actually really looking at this, right? But they need to be a little bit more cautious, let's say, because they have money from donors, and they can't just say, hey, we tried this project, it turned out to be a scam.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry.
Right, but for example, if that's the people, as you said, like from what you're describing, those are the people that you're really like, that you're actually interested in talking to, interviewing, to understanding what your needs are.
Yeah, and they already actually know some of the crypto stuff. They all have a MetaMask installed. They have used other dApps, right?
Right.
So this is where I see a big opportunity.
So I think that's really good, because I mean, as I said, like again, like you're still a step ahead because you already have a clear idea of who would be interested in using, what would be the main benefits for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of what you were mentioning before, whether to do a survey or whether to do a like it depends so much. Like at the beginning of the project, like I would combine. You already have something out there. So the thing is, like, I would do a bit of testing to understand, because again, I would do a UX audit from my expertise, so design patterns, standards, etc. in heuristics. But then I would do a little bit of a testing session, maybe with 5 people, just to get like feedback on what are the main problems right now. And then I would start interviewing people. In interviewing, I just mean talking to them, like a 20 minutes, 30 minutes chat, saying, okay, so do you donate? Like what do you, like what sort of things do you donate to? Like what do you expect when you donate? Like what sort of like information do you look after you donate? Like all those.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've written down that. Maybe
we already have that actually, but we should run it again. And it was surprising because like
this research is not one thing that you do one time.
Exactly.
Like I need to keep, like,
Exactly.
Research goes in the same process as you iterate with the code, as you iterate with the design. You do research. Like you cannot do one off, a couple of people, and that's it. Like.
Yeah. And I just want to share one thing which I found very interesting, and maybe you don't, but 20% of the people that are giving money, when we ask them why, they said because it's socially expected from me to do.
What? Because it's socially expected?
Yes, because those people got some money, right? Like either crypto rich or whatever, but it's actually socially expected from them to actually give money. Projects.
Oh, wow, I wouldn't have expected this. Okay, but you mean people within the crypto space?
Yeah. Basically, we ran the survey on DEFCON 3.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's something that I wouldn't have expected. I mean, I guess one of the incentives of donate, like for people to donate, whether that is like normal fiat, it is actually social commitment, social expectations, pressure from your peers. I don't know, like, okay. But yeah. 20%. How many people do you talk to? 20% of
we didn't get many responses. It was like upwards 100.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go. I'll share. What's your preference for, like? Should I just use a Google Doc or what?
Yeah. Google Doc is fine.
Right.
We can keep communicating in the Telegram group. That is also fine. I'm not picky. So if you share with me your findings and your ideas for improvement, that would be amazing.
Very rough at the moment. It's just like comments. Okay, so like if you don't understand anything, just like make a comment. I will explain in more detail. But I mean, I try to put like the issue, let's say, and the recommendation, and then there are some questions. But the questions are more like, you know, for if there's a question, is because like I arrived to that page or I arrived to that element and I wasn't sure what to do, and therefore like that question will lead to bigger things. But yeah, so I will just share that with you, and then yeah, we can keep in touch on the Telegram group, and you know, you guys tell me how it's going. I don't know if Marco is going to help out, and I'm happy to as well have another session.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.